Welcome to Totem Pole Nation, Lambo's Water Sports, featuring the Big Brother feature inside of our Sports Network. Week 5 preview. Now, I know this game is being played in the next 30 minutes, but it's a trending story. All right, Bears versus Commanders in the next 30 minutes. I know I didn't put that up there because I don't think it's a game worth talking about. The only reason why it's worth talking about is because if the Chicago Bears lose tonight on the road against the Washington Commanders, will Matt Eberflus be fired? There's some potential. I understand the Chicago Bears history. They hadn't really fired the coach mid-season. They wait till the end of the year. But the organization has lost 14 straight games due to last year. And they are horrible. They're horrible at all phases of football. Now, Justin Fields had a great game last week, but that was his best game in his whole entire NFL career. But this Commanders defense is going to be a little bit different. I'm not sure if they're going to beat them. They beat them last year, but this game could be a coin flip. I'm not sure. I mean, I picked the Commanders to beat the Bears. But Matt Eberflus could be moved on. He could be getting fired. What are your thoughts on this game? I'm going to pick the Commanders to win this game. But do you think Matt Eberflus will be fired by tomorrow?
I don't think so. Regardless, of win or loss tonight, I think, like if they fire him, they probably put Luke Getsy as the interim head coach. That's their offensive coordinator. And like he was good with Green Bay, but of course, that goes with playing or coaching with Rodgers. And really, besides that, there's nothing that I've seen in his biography that would, like really push me towards thinking that he'd be a better coach than Eberflus. Even, like I know Eberflus has been really shitting the bed here recently, but I think that when it comes to like what they hired him from was having a great defense in Indy. So, like the interim head coach in this case being Luke Getsy, who has led an offense that has sucked, on this losing streak that they've been on, it really wouldn't be too much different from a success standpoint, I don't think, because he'd just be he got this head coach, the offensive coordinator job because he was Aaron's OC. It's the same thing with Hackett, getting that Denver job, being Aaron's offensive coordinator. And obviously we saw that go to shit. And then he's over with the Jets, and that's not completely his fault because he's got, that quarterback situation over there. But I think in principle, it's the same thing. Like you can't just replace the current head coach with an interim that is only there because he was the offensive coordinator for Aaron Rodgers. And Justin Fields isn't Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know if they fire him in the game. I definitely have Washington. Their defense, I think, can do what is necessary to slow down the Chicago Bears offense enough. And Sam Howell he's had a couple rough games, but as essentially a rookie quarterback, like he's playing way above, initial expectations. I think he was like a 5th rounder or something like that. So, he's definitely a steal for the Commanders, and it's pretty cool to see him, become an actual starter. It sucks that he's on the Commanders doing it, but I do see them coming out with a dub tonight against probably the worst team in football.
By the way, they probably are worse than the 2008 Detroit Lions with Dan Orlovsky, who ran out the end zone, which is a very funny clip. And also probably worse than the 2017 Cleveland Browns, maybe. At least the Cleveland Browns were competitive.
2016, I think.
2016, yeah. But, no, 17. It was 17 because that's when Pittsburgh that year lost to Jacksonville. And with that Blake Bortles, it was 2017.
The regular season was 2016. If the playoffs were 2017.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, yeah. So, at least when the Browns were 0-16 at that time, at least they lost like 1-score games. This Bears team is just worse. They're losing by at least like they're getting 35 points and more than that. My God, they're just awful. But next game, the Titans came off a big win against the Cincinnati Bengals. Their defense showed up. They have a great rushing defense. They blitzed Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow got hit pretty hard. I know you mentioned that the Titans defense, pass defense, has been very suspect. Now, in this game, the Indianapolis Colts almost came back and beat the Rams. I mean, they're down 23-0. They almost came back and beat them. I'm going to take the Colts to win this game. Because as much as I picked the Titans, I don't trust Ryan Tannehill to do a damn thing. And I like Derrick Henry. He's on my fantasy. But if you don't give Derrick Henry enough touches, I mean, there's a possibility Tennessee can still win this game. But I'm going to go with the Colts. I'm going with a dual threat quarterback. Colts win maybe 27-24.
I have the Colts as well, but I don't think it's going to be that high scoring. Also, pretty big news. Jonathan Taylor spoke out today about like his future with the team, and he said like I'm here right now. He said, this is a quote, "I don't think it matters if I'm staying, I'm committed or not, because I'm here. If somebody wasn't committed, they wouldn't be here. And right now I'm here. And my number one goal is to attack this first practice." It's been a while since he had practiced or even obviously played. He didn't address any contract issues or anything like that. But I do think that I don't think he's going to play this week, but just because that wasn't really brought up. But in the future, this Colts team could do some problems for sure for other teams having a duo like that in the backfield. For this one, Zach Moss has played out of his mind. He's averaging just under 100 rushing yards a game, but that's a really good running defense over there. I'm going to go with the Colts. I was pretty 50-50 on it, but I'll go with the Colts as well. I don't know my score prediction, maybe 20-17.
All right. Well, next game, Saints versus the Patriots. Patriots lost some key guys. Matt Judon is out with a torn biceps. Christian Gonzalez is on IR for the rest of the season with another shoulder injury. So that's two key guys we lost on defense. We signed J.C. Jackson. Yes, Bill Belichick made the right decision. J.C. Jackson, man, 2019, 2020, man, he was a lockdown corner. I missed that guy. He is back. Now, I understand J.C. Jackson came off of some type of foot injury last season. He got a big contract, and I was very mad once we just let him go. I was very, upset. I wasn't thinking correctly. But he didn't really work out with the Chargers. The Chargers defensive scheme don't fit for JC. JC is a press man type of guy. And I think when he played with the Patriots, he led the league in interceptions, and we didn't even sign him. He led the league in interceptions at one point, and we didn't sign him. So bringing in J.C. Jackson is very huge. Now the Saints, Derek Carr is playing through an injury. The Saints defense is great. Of course, I'm going to pick my Patriots, but I have concerns. If Mac Jones don't do the same dumb shit he did against his Dallas Cowboys and throw bonehead after bonehead interceptions, I might just say the Patriots won't make the playoffs. All right, I might just say that on Monday. If we somehow don't beat the Saints, I will say on here the Patriots would not make the goddamn playoffs. Here's the problem. It's not Bill O'Brien's fault. The reason why it's not Bill O'Brien's fault is because he's trying to clean up the mess that Matt Patricia and Joe Judge made an offensive end last year. Now, Joe Judge is still part of the staff, probably just as assistant to special teams. I'm not really sure. He's still in the roster, but Matt Patricia's gone. Matt Patricia is actually the part of the staff of the Eagles, I think. So, Bill O'Brien's trying to clear up the mess from last year. I think Bill O'Brien and Mac Jones get along just fine. But I understand y'all calling for quarterback controversy. It's not happening. Mac Jones give us the best chance to win, especially get to the playoffs. Now, Super Bowl, we got a long way to go before we come back to no damn Super Bowl. We ain't nowhere close. But we have to run the ball. You have Zeke. You have Ramondre Stevenson. I feel like we ran the ball fine against the damn Dallas Cowboys until we start going pass happy and throwing back-to-back interceptions. But I'm over that game. In order for the Patriots to win, you have to get rid of that football quickly against a tough Saints defensive line, especially in Cam Jordan. They're very tough. I think Marcus Lattimore, I guess, is still part of that roster, if I'm correct, cornerback for the Saints. Patriots obviously going to win. I don't have a score for this because I'm not sure if it's going to be defensively or if we're going to score points. The Patriots just better win this goddamn game. That's all I have to say about that. They better goddamn win. And J.C. Jackson, you better be ready to go because we need to lock down Chris Olave, Michael Thomas. I mean, we need some help.
Um, sorry, I've got the Saints here, dude. You mentioned Ramondre Stevenson. He's played bad this year. I don't know why you were thinking you guys were running well against us. He had 2.1 yards a carry and Zeke had 2.7. So, I mean, that's against us, obviously, but you go the week before against the Jets, another great defense, and he only had 3.1. You go to the Dolphins, who really don't have that good of a defense. He only had 3.3. And then week one, who obviously the Eagles' run defense is great, but 2.1. And you look over at Zeke, he had 4.1 a carry against the Eagles, and then the Dolphins was 2.6. Jets, he averaged 5 yards a carry. And then, like I mentioned last week, 2.7. So the run game has just been super lackluster so far. And the Saints defense is very legit. They're not top tier, but they've got studs everywhere. Like you mentioned, Lattimore. They've also got Tyrann Mathieu. You've got Cam Jordan. And there's more pieces as well. And then you flip the side, like you said, you got some key defensive guys out. And on the other end, Derek Carr, he's been throwing all week through practice. So I would have to assume that injury is not too much of a hindrance, or he wouldn't be throwing every single day at practice this week. And then also, like Chris Olave, dog. Michael Thomas, not quite as a dog as he used to be, but still very good at getting open and making catches. And Rashid Shaheed is a burner in the return game and just running go routes or running like deep crosses. So I am going to roll with the Saints. I don't think it's like blowout territory or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but I do think that they'll win by like 10.
Also, one thing, the Saints had to stop Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki. Now, by the way, as far as touchdowns with the tight ends, it's been more than what it was. I guess it's 4. It's been more than what it was as far as catching touchdowns for the tight ends. It's more than what it was the last 2 damn seasons, with Johnny Smith being completely garbage. He didn't exceed expectations, but the Saints have to look out for the tight ends. We've been going 13 personnel lately as far as 3 tight ends set. So the Saints have a great defense, but they have to stop Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki, and I forgot the other tight ends name. I think it's something Brown or whatnot. But they got to stop our tight ends. But hopefully they choke. The next game we're getting to is the Texans versus the Falcons. Not to shit on you, but you were wrong when they thought you was going to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like you said, you're not a big believer in Desmond Ridder. Actually, 2 weeks ago, you said you weren't a big believer in Desmond Ridder. Now, this game, I'm going to pick the Texans to win this game. The Texans blow out the Steelers by surprise. C.J. Stroud, I think, has 1,200 yards, no interceptions, at least in 4 games. He's going off. He's great. The Texans' defense is very surprised a lot of people. Arthur Smith's job is not really on the line because surprisingly, the Falcons have won 2 games. But I'm not a big believer in Desmond Ridder, despite them playing at home. I'm going to take the Houston Texans to win this game. I think it'd be 20-17. C.J. Stroud still gets the job done. The Texans kick a game-winning field goal and it ship City up your ass.
Yeah, that Falcons pick last week was definitely influenced by the festivities of Blacksburg on game day. I will say in the initial notes that I sent you with my picks, I did pick the Jags to win. And then when, after a long day of tailgating, I wanted to change it. So that's on me. That was bad. But I think in my right mind, I would have picked the Jags, and I did beforehand. So I did get that part wrong, but I also kind of got it right. Going to this week, I'm rolling with you here as well. I'm going Texans. CJ Stroud is easily the best so far. So far, he is easily the best quarterback out of this class. I mean, he's 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's had multiple games of 300 or right around 300 yards. Like he's balling. Accuracy's been on point. And this week, it's not like like the Falcons defense is good, but we just saw them get exposed last week. And maybe you can attribute that a little bit to like it being a London game, but like the Jags had to travel as well. So that excuse doesn't go too far. I'm nervous because I feel like it happens with every rookie. At some point, they're gonna have that rookie game, and I don't think it'll be this week for CJ, but it's got to be coming at some point. Like they're gonna have a game where you play like a rookie, but I'm banking on it not being this week. Give me the Texans over the Falcons. That Falcons defense is solid, but their offense is outside of Bijan. They can't get Drake London or Kyle Pitts involved enough, and I think it's a lot on the capabilities of Desmond Ridder. So, yeah, I just trust the Texans more than the Falcons.
All right, next game, Panthers versus the Lions. Lions might be 0-5 for the first time in a very long time. Bryce Young is still young. I mean, Aiden Dalton played all right against the Seahawks, even though they lost a week ago. This Lions defense is fighting. They're coming for everybody. It's time. The Lions will make the playoffs. The Lions will win this game 31-14. I think the Lions defensive line, Aiden Hutchinson, they're going to be all over that Panthers O-line. That Panthers O-line has a lot of weaknesses, and I swear to God, they can't close their goddamn legs, and they're going to get smacked every single time passing the ball in the line of scrimmage. This is going to be an easy-ass whooping, and I hope the Lions will disappoint. But the Lions and Jared Goff right now is playing like a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it all year with Jared. He has continued that hot streak from last year, and it's carried 4 weeks into this year. He's playing. I mean, it's a little bit of a step down in some games, but he's still playing very good. And yeah, the Panthers O-line is going to have such a long day against Aiden Hutchinson and that D-line of the Lions. And in turn, that also means Bryce is having an insanely long day as well back there, probably running for his life. Adam Thielen is, I said it before that he can't be the number one option, and he's doing great being the number one option. It's just like a little bit limited. Like in fantasy football right now, full PPR, I'm pretty sure he's 11th or 10th out of all wide receivers. So he's doing awesome, but I think it's because he's a super fundamental wide receiver that he'll get open and he'll get down or whatever, but he doesn't have that explosive ability that he used to have with the Vikings, or that another wide receiver could bring. I've seen that they've been looking for trades and stuff at number one receivers, which is a little bit ironic considering, they traded one away to go get Bryce. And then it's our quarterback might need an explosive young receiver. So, it's a little ironic there, but they had to do what they had to do. They've got way too many holes on this team for me to say that they'll compete with the Lions, who look like just fantastic compared to what we've seen them in years past. So, yeah, I'm rolling with the Lions here, and I'm with you. I think it's a pretty wide margin in the score.
The Giants versus the Dolphins. All right, Dolphins coming off an embarrassing loss against the Bills. I mean, they let 48 right up their ass. The Giants are just a horrible football team. Daniel Jones is a fraudster. He's taking money from the Giants. There's no way in the world you should be loaned $92 million of guaranteed money. He's been an average quarterback. He wasn't even that good at the University of Duke. He was horrible. All right. Saquon Barkley got a 1-year deal, which is bad. Saquon Barkley is a full offense. By the way, the Miami Dolphins have Mike McDaniel and Tua and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert. I mean, I'm going to tell you something. They're going to ground and pound, run the ball. They're going to do whatever they want to do because Wink Martindale's going to be waking up. He's going to be staying up all night trying to figure out how to stop Tua. The Dolphins will win 49-17. Daniel Jones is average, and he's a bum. And if you ever need a quarterback, New York Giants, please work me out because I throw the ball better than Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be close. Dolphins are going to roll over them. Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything you said. The defense of the Giants is they've got good pieces. I was nervous coming into the season with the additions they'd made and stuff. But I guess it's just something about that uniform, man. You put that uniform on and you're mid. That's what it's got to be. That defense is just not good at doing the main part of their job, and that's, not letting the other team score. So when it comes to that, and then just looking at how explosive the offense is for the Dolphins, yeah, I don't think it's going to be close. And then you go on the other side, like the Miami defense is okay. Like they're pretty middle of the road. But the Giants don't really like bring too much when it comes to. Did you mention if Saquon was back or not?
Saquon is probably questionable. I mean, he was out for 3 weeks when he got hurt against the Cardinals, so it's been 2 weeks. He should be questionable, or if he's not playing, he should be back sometime next week.
Yeah, they're definitely encouraged, but no guarantees. He has practiced in a limited capacity every single day this week so far. So, I mean, that's a toss-up in the air, and if he's in the game, obviously, I think it'll be closer. But I don't think that the Giants' offense, with or without him, can match what the Dolphins are going to put up, especially with the Giants' defense being Swiss cheese when it comes to allowing points.
All right, next game we need to talk about is the Bengals versus the Cardinals. I understand that Joe Burrow is still trying to play hurt, but I'm going to take my hopes on Cincinnati Bengals. I understand that Jamar Chase is always open, but Joe Burrow is playing through a tough injury. The Bengals are on the road. I understand the Arizona Cardinals beat the Dallas Cowboys, but I don't see this as a particular upset. If it is, I'm in shock. I don't think the Bengals are that bad. I understand the O-line is kind of inconsistent. But I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to save their season, and they're going to beat the Cardinals. I don't know what the score is going to be because that depends on how Joe Burrow plays. But the Cincinnati Bengals have a very, very good and legit defense. The Bengals probably win, I don't know, I give you about 7 points.
I've flip-flopped back and forth on this game multiple times, and I might flip-flop again by the end of the show. But right now, in this very moment, give me the Cardinals.
Oh, my God.
Give me the Cardinals. That's just, I'd said I might flip it by the end of the show. I might change my mind by the end of the show.
What makes you think the Cardinals are going to beat the Bengals?
They've been competitive. They've been competitive in every single game, and the Bengals, like up until this point, so Joe said this week that this is the best he's felt all season, and like he's obviously he said like this is a must-win game and everything, which does scare me. That's why I was flipping. I was like, damn, like if Joe's actually back, then I'm definitely rolling with the Bengals. But I don't know how like just 1 week you can go from statistically one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, which right now he's a bottom 3 quarterback, just off these first 4 weeks. I don't know how that flips a complete 180 in 1 week. That's what my concern is. And then you also look at what the Cardinals have done. They have played every single game this year competitively. So I mean, a team that's really struggling in the Bengals, and then a team that talent-wise doesn't really match up with most other teams, but these are still NFL players. They're still dogs out there. Josh Dobbs is playing, out of his mind from what we were expecting. So I like I said, I might flip again, but for right now, something about me is it's screaming Cardinals right now.
All right, next game, Jets versus the Broncos. All right, Broncos won their first game of the year. The Jets have lost 3 straight. Zach Wilson played his best game, but I still think he's a bust. Russell Wilson's not playing that bad, but the defense is kind of horrible. I feel like Sean Payton has changed his play calling a little bit because his play calling is way too long. It's like a 500-word essay in college. It's just too long of a play. All right, I'm going to take the Denver Broncos to win this game. It's at home. Oh, by the way, the whole Sean Payton Nathaniel Hackett thing will be trending, whatnot, especially what Sean Payton said earlier in the summer about, Nathaniel Hackett taking the worst head coaching job and whatnot. So that will be trending. Robert Saleh also, by the way, that will be motivation. Like I said, that's motivation heading into this game. The Jets have a great defense, but it comes out of Zach Wilson. And to be honest, despite Russell Wilson getting paid all his money, I would rather put my money on Russell Wilson than Zach Wilson. Score this will probably be 28-20.
Jets.
Oh my God! Please, not for to do this.
Give me the New York Jets.
What the hell is wrong with you? The Jets?
Taking down the Denver Broncos.
God.
That defense is dog shit. It is so bad of the Denver Broncos.
Oh, yeah.
I just saw, and I know it might be an anomaly. It might be the only time in his entire life that he plays that well. But it could be the first step in the right direction.
Oh, stop it. Stop.
It could be. And what better defense to go against the following week than statistically a bottom 5 defense or bottom 3 defense in the entire league in the Denver Broncos? What better team to go up against after going against a great defense in Kansas City and performing the best you ever have, and then going to Denver and just piling on top of it? Now, I don't think he's going to be perfect. I agree with you. He's a bust. But we're talking about like the worst defense in the league here after he just spazzed against one of the best. And then you go on the other side and Russ has to play against this defense that has made Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen look average. I don't think Russ is going to look better than Pat or Josh did against this defense. And they looked average and Josh looked bad. So I don't know, like it's just the cards are kind of lining up right, I think, in this game for the Jets to snap that losing streak. I still don't think that they'll like do any big things this year unless Aaron magically comes back. But yeah, give me the Jets taking the Broncos down.
The New York Jets. The New York Jets. The New York Jets. Okay. I actually like your enthusiasm there. I can't say too much because they might win. Like I said, I hate the Jets. I hope they lose. In the second to last game, the Chiefs versus the Vikings. By the way, the Vikings finally won. They had the best wide receiver in football, Justin Jefferson, but the defense can't stop anybody. I understand the Kansas City Chiefs did struggle against the Jets. It was 17-0 in the second quarter. It ended up being 20-20 in the third quarter, all the way until the fourth quarter. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs because the Minnesota Vikings can't stop nobody on defense. Score will be 31-24.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Chiefs too. For the same reason. So Kirk and JJ have looked incredible together this year, but the defense has looked awful. And there was an issue with them last year as well. They didn't have a good defense last year, and it's carried over this year. And the difference is they're losing the games that they used to win. All those one possession games last year where they would squeak it out are now the ones that they're losing this year, and it's the reason their record is so bad. So I'm thinking the record gets worse. I think the Chiefs roll over them just with offense in this game. And like the Vikings will put up points, but this Chiefs defense is actually good. So while I do think the Vikings will put up a fight and they'll put up points, I don't think it'll be enough to keep up with what the Chiefs are going to be able to do against a defense in which I've already used this phrase once, talking about the Giants, but in this case as well, a Swiss cheese defense. It's got holes all over the place. I'm going with the Chiefs here pretty comfortably.
Monday night game. The Packers versus the Raiders in Vegas. Jimmy G, by the way, should be back from that concussion protocol. They had one of the best wide receivers in football, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs. By the way, Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, especially frustration. They're not trying to wait. Josh McDaniels' job is currently on the line. Now, I know some fans went up to Mark Davis and whatnot and said, fire Josh McDaniels. I feel like his job is on the line because their patience for Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, the star players, is getting very, very thin. They're not trying to wait. They want to win now. They want to win now. I'm going to take the Raiders to win this game. Green Bay has a lot of holes they need to work on. Jordan Love played really bad against the damn Lions, except the second half. Their defense is really bad. They got ran up and down the field against the Lions. The Raiders, with the right weapons, if they can run the ball with Josh Jacobs, they'll be unstoppable. I'm going to take the Raiders, but I can't give you what score because it comes down to Jimmy G. I feel like Jimmy G won't have 3 turnovers like he did against Pittsburgh, but it just comes down to what the game plan is for the Raiders. But the Raiders are going to beat the Green Bay Packers at home.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It'll be cool to see Devontae like going up against that defense, just because a lot of those players were there when he was there as well. But I agree with you. I think there's too many holes on the Packers to really overcome what the Raiders are going to bring offensively, assuming that they actually show up. We've seen them show up and they look just like they didn't practice at all that week. So assuming that this is a good week coming up for the Raiders offense, I think the defense will be able to do enough to, shake up Jordan Love. Like I've mentioned before, he's not very accurate so far. And a lot of his stats when he gets like his percentage back over 60 or whatever, it's like at the end of the game, either in garbage time or like in the one game where he came back or whatever, like he played really well in the second half, but up until that point, he was throwing the ball at 50%, and he's done that in multiple games. We just talked about how bad he played last week. So, like, I think he's got promise for sure, but I don't think he's ready to be like a guy that when you look at the two quarterbacks next to each other and you're like, who do you trust more? I think I would trust a good amount of quarterbacks more than Jordan Love. So, just what Jordan could do against that defense versus what Jimmy and the offensive weapons for Vegas can do against the Packers defense. I trust Vegas more.
All right. Well, this is it for all the recaps of Lambo Sports. We did college, we did NFL, we did recruiting video. We will see you back on Monday. Like I said, it is game time right now. The Commanders and the Bears are on. Might get low ratings, but it's something that we'll watch because it's part of our job to entertain you with football. So we'll let you know what our picks are on Monday. Like I said, y'all have a great weekend. Like I said, Lambo Sports, Sideline Sports Network. It's game time. We will see y'all on Monday. And by the way, one of our videos on Monday before we do all the previews for over the weekend, we're gonna have a debate. One of the debates we're gonna make it called. I guess I'm not gonna be too specific, but we're gonna make one of the debates where who is the greatest quarterback of all time. Some of y'all say it's Tom Brady. Some of y'all think it's Pat Mahomes. So we're gonna have a really good detailed debate on who is the greatest quarterback of all time. Now I love Pat Mahomes, but I don't think we call that man the GOAT. Now I understand he's talented and all this other stuff, but we will talk about that on Monday. Like I said, we'll have 3 days to prepare for this. Is Tom Brady the GOAT or Pat Mahomes the GOAT? That's on Monday's episode. Y'all have a great weekend. Goodbye. Adios. Don't drink too much and don't die. Bye-bye.